When I was 11 years old, I remember sitting in the car with my dad, and he turns to me and says, "We don't say I love you." And maybe it's because I never said it to my dad. But son, I've always been proud of you. You've always done things right. But today was the first day that I was disappointed in you. Now, what he didn't know was that 2 days before that, I was amongst the sheep and the wolves that are all around our schools. Now, I was a happy little sixth grader running around, a little undersized, but running around gym class just having a fun time. And all of a sudden, Mark comes into gym, sneaks behind me, and drops my pants. Runs out of the room. I quickly pick my pants back up, standing there mortified. I don't know what to do. I don't run to the principal and tell him. I don't run to the teacher and tell her. I don't run home and tell my mom. I don't know what to do. And I don't know why we do that. We're almost more ashamed that it happened, and we're afraid to admit it rather than asking for help. But the next day, I go to school and do the wrong thing. I find Mark and I say, "I don't want you to ever do that to me again." And what's the cost of admission into his one-man club? I have to find a victim of my own. I found Randy. In the computer lab, he stood up. I snuck behind him and dropped his pants. But Randy was mid-step and fell flat on his face. And I was standing over him like a wolf, ready to eat. And he was just on the ground staring back up at me like, "Why would you do that?" Now, that wasn't me. I don't know why I did that. That's not who I wanted to be. And I don't know why we do that. We become what we don't want to be to impress the person that we don't care about. Why do we do that? Why do we want to put ourselves in a bad situation just to impress somebody? Well, that night at a chorus concert, my dad and I are in line getting drinks, and Randy's mom taps my dad on the shoulder and says, "Your son hurt my son today." And my dad says, "Is he okay?" "Good. I'll take care of this." And he looked at me with a silent stare that was worse than death. And I remember sitting there in that car, my dad looking at me, "This is the first time I'm disappointed in you. Now I know you're gonna mess up. You're gonna do bad things. But don't ever let me be surprised. You admit what you've done. You come clean, you be honest with me, and don't let me be embarrassed like that. I don't ever want to hear about you doing something wrong from somebody else." Now, he taught me two things in that moment. He was the alpha dog, the dog that was capable but honorable. And the two things he taught: one, never let your parents or your boss, don't let them be surprised. If you make a mistake, own it. It's time to fess up. Being deceitful, it costs too much, and the truth comes around regardless. And the second thing he taught me: forget peer pressure. Being cool costs too much. It's not worth trying to get buy-in to a crowd that's only going to bring you down. So I committed on that day that I was never going to disappoint my dad again, and that I was going to strive to become the dog. A dog that will confront the bully on my own, and the dog that will protect the sheep. And we all need to become a dog.